I know, crazy, huh? I'm back again after 2 hours of baka and yelling and screaming. But you know what? After some coffee and after thinking about all the things that you guys said, I went and looked on Google Earth. And I looked at, well, we were discussing the Agatha May video from last night and her talking about Tom Winslow's property. And we were talking about the property that she found next door nearby, and that it belongs to a ministry that's related or, has a lot of connections to John Paul Miller. I am back. Yes, I am back again after 2 hours. Okay. And I just went on to Google Earth this time. Very informative. So someone had said in the chat, look at Highway 74, and there's a way that it crosses that particular creek. Well, you know what? She was absolutely right. And it goes right. Okay, so I just want you to figure 1281 Princess Anne Road and the slough are 1.7 miles. We'll just say it's about 1.67. Well, let's just say 1.7 miles, a little less than 2 miles away. In between 1281 Princess Anne Road, the first ping, and the second ping right above the slough and the creek, Anne Road, it's just called Anne Road off of 74, does parallel to some point. It literally parallels next to this creek. So that would explain the pickup on the cell phone and watch. So by ATV, very easily, by car, anybody could have taken Mica through this Anne Road off of Highway 74 and drove it to where the creek that I've been talking about is, load her onto a boat, which is a much shorter distance. We're looking at a mile now. It's about a mile away. And we're looking at about less than a 10-minute ride on a boat, right up to the mouth of the slough. I wish there was a way. I think there might be a way. Hold on, guys. I might be able to share this with you. Let me figure this out. Present. How do you do this, Lord? Share screen. Do I have to do it on this? I think I have to do it on here. Hold on for a second. Yep. I have to do it on here. All right. Okay. Google Earth, share. And add to stage. Oh, look at that, guys. Okay. So let me make this bigger if I can. There we go. Beautiful. I love when we could do these things. So let's follow this road here. See this road? This is a road right here. The road. This goes all the way up to, well, let me just go back here. This is Highway 74. See that? Going down here. Here's Princess Anne Road. Here's where it pings. That's the ping. Okay. You're following through here. It's a very small road. It's not that big of a road. It does come out here to Princess Anne. But here's the creek in question. You see that creek? And this is where we believe that she was taken. Now, I always said, oh, it's right here where she was loaded on Princess Anne. Across from here is Tommy Walter's house. So I always felt like, okay, you know what? She was loaded here onto whatever, maybe an ATV, and then taken over here to the creek, and they took her. But you know what? The person who brought up Highway 74, which ended up being Anne Road, they like Anne. Isn't that funny? Here it comes right against that creek. Now you're looking at only a mile. This is the second place the phone pinged. If you could see where I'm pointing, this is where it pinged. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the slough. Okay, let me get closer for you. This is where Mica was found. Do you see where I'm pointing? This is where Mica, so see how it ends here, and this is where she was found. That's why it was 5 minutes for CJ and Clay to go in there. But this is the area where she was found. This is where that ping for the phone is. That second ping is up here in this creek. Tommy, well, yeah, I'm not saying Tommy's not involved. I'm just saying this makes a lot of sense. And maybe this is why that ATV was taken from JP's house that day. Okay. I believe that she was brought by this creek. The reason why there was a ping here and a ping here was because her watch and her phone were picking it up. Because look how close that is. Here's that Ann Road. I'm sorry. Here's that Ann Road. And here it comes. Who's going to notice? Who is going to notice any kind of transition going on here? Any kind of switch if she is put from a vehicle onto a boat? Nobody. Who the hell is here? There's no traffic here. Nobody cares about this area. Right? Now let's go up here to where they possibly could have loaded her on. Look how close that is. All right. You're pulling off a Highway 74. That's a regular street, but this is a little street here. Ann Road is not that big of a vehicle. Pardon me. So right here, they could have loaded her from an actual vehicle, put her on that ATV as everybody is claiming, and ATV'd her all the way. And it's only 6.5 miles, by the way, guys. I checked it out. All right, here, let me just, and brought her to this point. It fits the timeline. Right, nobody, because it's all secluded. And look how secluded. This is, no, wait, I'm gonna try to switch it over. If I can see. This is why we see nothing. This is what we see. We can't even see the road, dude. Look, you can't even see the Ann Road anymore because of all the treetops. It looks like there's nothing there. Well, let's switch. And there you go. There's your road. And it's not a very big road. It's not very big. Let me see if I can get maybe a photo of what the road looks like over here close to where there's no trees. Yeah. This is not a big road. So very easily you could pull to the side. I don't know if that's a building. No, these are just trees. There's a couple of houses here, whatever. Nobody's going to question them, a pickup truck or whatever, pulling to the side and loading. It could be, she could have been in a bag. She could have been wrapped in something. Nobody's going to question it. Then put on an ATV. Now, why would they do that? I don't know. Maybe they didn't feel to bring the truck all the way. I have no idea why they'd use an ATV. Maybe an ATV is easier to bring down this road. Maybe it gets thinner. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how long we're going to be able to even see it. There's houses along it. See, there's houses and properties. So it's not as if a vehicle can't get through here. It looks small. It looks like a dirt road. It doesn't look like paved. So that might be a reason that because it's not a paved road, it's still, okay, see, now we're going to lose it. Now it's going to get hard to see. So I got to get back into, so we can keep an eye on it. Okay, so it is a dirt road. It's not a paved road. Look at 3900 State Road 2223. What's that, Matthew? What is that there? What am I looking? Why would I look at that? There was also tire marks across from where she was found to edge of water in one of the first pics. across from where she was found. What do you mean? Do you mean at the slough, Lauren? There was tire marks? Well, okay, so let's say we follow that. Whoops, let me move my mic so you can hear me. Okay, so let's say we follow that, okay? Now, again, I don't see any roads, because remember, this is where we want to go. This is where we want to go, right? Ann Road ends here. Now we're back on Princess Anne Road again, where the lodging road comes out that leads to the slough. You know, I don't know if we can see those roads. That's the problem. Those little teeny trails are not showing up here. And this is Google Earth, people, but get the hell out of here. So I'm just using what they're giving me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. What is this little man? Is he straight view? Oh, no, he's not going to show me anything. 3D? Oh, gee whiz. Okay, that's weird. That's not weirding me out at all. No. Nope. It's freaking me out, guys. Just want you to know that. Stop turning. But there's the slough. There's the creek. I'm just saying that the possibility, I'm trying to go along with the pings. Remember, I'm following the pings. And the second ping, we just stop moving. Let me stop them. Stop it. Was, let me get it back to the way I had it. Was here. Okay, this is the slough. This is where the second ping was. And this, oops, sorry guys, is where the first ping was. Okay, that's what we're dealing with here. Stupid map turned us around. I wanted this to be here. All right, so we've got here. Here's that crossway. This is about a mile, less than a mile, to be honest with you, because this is 2 miles, and that's much longer. This is about 1.7 miles from here to here. So this is about maybe less than a mile. If they loaded her on here and kayaked her here, you're looking at less than 10 minutes. Not even. Okay. Right here. And here's the mouth. This is the mouth of the slough. This is the Griffin Whirl. This is the end of the creek. This is where she's found. Right here, ladies and gentlemen, this is where she was found. Right here. So it makes sense. They come off, and again, this was the second ping. They come off of here. Right, but I don't see that happening here. I don't see that happening here. And the reason why I don't see that happening is because they gave themselves away a lot in this. Yeah, it does give me chills. They gave themselves away a lot because, as I said earlier in the 2-hour video I did this morning, before coffee, I'll never do that again. I'll have coffee next time I come on because that was so crunchy. They expected this to go away quickly. They expected it to be a local story. They didn't expect it to get any attention by anybody. They definitely didn't expect the Big Mouth New Yorker to keep talking about it for almost a year. And Robbie Harvey and Agatha May and CJ and all these other people, they never expected that, because if they did, they probably would have planned it out differently. You know, and I'm not saying that you can't do the ATVs through water. I just don't remember, they needed to have a plan and they needed to go by a timeline. Okay, so when you're having funsies on an ATV in water, you're not really paying attention to the time. But here, you're needing to pay attention to the time. So it fits the timeline. Now, where was she killed? Well, you know, now the Tom Winslow thing comes into play. And why is that? We need to figure out, I wonder if I could do the maps here. Well, we need to figure out, if anybody can, I don't know the actual address to Tom Winslow's property. So if you have it, Please figure it out. This address here, let me just do this, it's easier. This address here, right here, at the beginning of 74, is 1 Ann Road. 1 Ann Road, Orem, North Carolina. If you can figure out how long it takes by vehicle, which is probably nothing, to get from, Tom Winslow's area to here, that would make sense. CJ might have the address. Okay. Otherwise, we'll have to believe that she was transported from the Bethlehem AME. Okay. But I believe she was killed in South Carolina. And I think Robeson County believes that. And I'm starting to believe that the feds believe that, because if they hadn't, they would have thrown it right back to North Carolina. Sort it out? Well, yeah, I do talk to Sort It Out often. I could ask her. Did she? I think her and I worked together over the summer, and that's how we got to that's how we found the creek. I can't even tell you what that was that night. I did exactly what I did here in front of you guys. I did let me go back to the Lumber River State Park. Yeah, let me just go back there. And I kept looking at it and looking at it and looking. It was driving me nuts. And I couldn't see anything. I was like, what is the correlation, Lord? What is the correlation between this place here and this place? And this is what I was looking at. This is why I was looking at what you guys were looking at. How the hell am I supposed to figure this out? All I'm seeing is the top of trees. And then it was like on your phone, on the app, you switch it over to terrain, and all of a sudden it went like this. And I went, what is this? What is this, Lord? It was like God was going, here it is. And I feel like that happens throughout this case, is that I'll be like, okay, Lord, I don't get it. What's happening? And then he'll give me another step. And it'll either be through one of you guys, or he'll just show me something as I'm working on it. And I'll be like, what? Property was supposedly cleared of brush, maybe. And if I recall, JP was seen washing four-wheeler. Okay, so let's go to the ATV real quick. That story. And I had to point that out to a few people, and I'm glad you pricked it up, Chana. So if you guys remember the day that this kid out of nowhere goes and starts driving around. This is Google Earth, hon. This is Google Earth. Go back in time. Oh, you mean when the trees are smaller? I don't know how to do that. I'll have to play with this Google Earth for a little while. If I do find that, I will. But I really do believe that we went beyond the trails. I do believe that I wasn't there. They used this because of the pings. I'm following the pings of the phone and the pings of her watch. Because remember, her watch was connected to her phone. And they may not have thought about taking the watch off of her. So I'm going according to what was pinged by Verizon that day. And this fits the 1281. This fits the second ping. Do you see where my mouse is? Here's the slough. Here's where she was found. The second ping was like right here somewhere. Right here. That doesn't match any of the trails you guys are talking about. Right here. And that's on this creek. Sorry, forgive me. Where this Ann Road crosses. So now all we have to do is find out where 1 Ann Road and maybe Tom Winslow's place. Let's see if it's close by. However, okay, the ATV. So the kid was riding around the ATV. JP didn't know the kid. The kid didn't know JP. Out of the blue, he just comes to, hey, mister, can I drive your ATV? Okay, fine. We'll buy that story. And so the kid starts riding it around. I think he did this twice, if I'm not mistaken. And then something happened where I think he almost hit a neighbor, or something like that happened. So the neighbors called. I don't know if it was Andy that called or someone else, but Andy was there, the neighbor Andy. And if you recall watching the video of this whole thing going down, nobody got ticketed, nobody got arrested, nothing happened. Nothing happened. Even if it was, okay, you need to get insurance on this, JP, or you need to legalize this or legalize that, there was no reason for them to take off with that ATV. None. They could have just said, John Paul, put it in your garage and don't let it out until you make it legal. But they took it. Now, this was right before, it's about a month before the feds did their raid. And you know damn well the reason why they took that ATV is because the feds wanted that ATV to do a forensic testing on it. Now, somebody had said something earlier in this morning's video. I can't believe I've done 2 videos one day. That, what if the kid got his fingerprints on it and got it dirty, yada, yada. It really doesn't matter. If her DNA got on that ATV in any way, you really have to be a biohazard expert to get rid of DNA. Okay? Even if you clean it with bleach or you clean it with this, you're not going to get every spot. So, it'd be very difficult to get rid of all that, and they will find it. They will find it. And being that it was a gunshot, I mean, most likely there will be some sort of DNA left behind. And these were not, the people who did this were not, again, I said this earlier, they were not Mensa. These were not high intellect people planning out this horrible death because they were sloppy. Very sloppy. But they didn't figure that they had to be, very careful about it because they did not expect this to go past 2 weeks. They did not expect it to go beyond local news. Remember that. It's very important to remember the mindset they were in at the time that this happened. Okay? Didn't JP in that video speak about how he just cleaned? It doesn't matter, Connie. It doesn't matter if he cleaned it. It takes a lot to clean DNA. It takes a lot. And let me say this, even if he used a whole buttload of bleach, that's also very telling. Okay, think about all the times you watched a cop show and somebody goes in and cleans an area and all they find is bleach, that's also very suspicious. But chances are that he didn't get rid of every single bit of DNA if it was on that ATV. So, and that's if they used an ATV. I don't know, because if you look at this road here, although it's a dirt road, we might be able to look at Inn Road from here. Let me see if we can. We might at least get an idea of what it looks like. Let me see if the trees will allow us to see it. Of course not. Bastards. So, no, let me see. Where was it again? Gee whiz, Anne-Marie. Okay. All right. So this is really, let's look at it from here, okay? Let's see how close we can get. And I have a feeling it's right. It's a dirt road. Look at it. That's a dirt road. That's not paved. That's a dirt road. Why did JJ take his boat home and then come back? Was his boat used to transport? Well, Gigi, you know what? That's very possible. Again, he did this interview with Veronica. I think it was with Veronica where he admitted he burned $1,300. I really believe that he. Do me a favor, Matthew. Send that to me in Facebook Messenger, and I'll follow that, and I'll go through it later. I'm not going to do it right now. I really believe that he had a big part in it, and in the aftermath was very sorry. So something from God told me to trust him in this situation. Trust who in what, Mary? I don't know what you're talking about. To trust Johnny Jacobs? It's very hard to trust somebody who's been deceptive throughout, from the beginning to the end. And if he was to be trusted, oh, trust God? Oh, absolutely. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yes. Well, that's the whole point. Throughout all of this, every time I started to question where I was, or I hit a brick wall, or I couldn't go any further, or whatever, you name it, there would be some kind of frustration. I'd go, Lord, help me here. Now, this morning, I was going on and on and on about, let me go back to where we can actually see what we're doing. I was going on and on and on about how this, which is the 1281 Princess Anne Road, which is mentioned on the Robeson County Sheriff's Department's first page of their investigative PowerPoint presentation. Okay. This is about 1.7 miles away from this area where she was found. So, and this is where the ping was, the first ping, and this is where the second ping was. So this is why I followed this path. I came across this after saying, Lord, help me. You know what I mean? And somebody had come in and now I said, from this point, I have no idea how she got here. How she got here was all a question. I have no idea. But then somebody came into the chat. I wish I could remember her name because she should get credit for it. And said, you need to look at Highway 74 because there's a road that goes alongside this creek and actually crosses it. Well, I couldn't find it on my phone. Forget it. You know, the phone is just, so I said, let me go on the computer and do Google Earth, and boom, there it is, Highway 74. And it's literally, it's this point here to this point is about 7 miles from here to here. All right. So 7 miles, how long would that take? We'll say somebody's doing, let's say 30 miles an hour, right? 30 miles an hour, 7 miles. How long would it take? So generating 14 minutes. So let's just say 15 minutes, all right? That's a 15-minute trip from here to here. Now you've got another from, let's go here now. She's loaded here and brought here. This is less than a mile. So you're looking at another 10 minutes. So 25 minutes in travel at the longest, okay? From here to the slough, 25 minutes. That fits. From her leaving the gas station at 1:38, possibly going to that Bethlehem AME, being killed there, because a lot of us believe that's what happened to her. Somehow transported to this area here, right here, where nobody's going to see what's going on. Nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to question it. Even if they went as far as here, you know, and brought her onto an ATV or drove her all the way to here. Nobody's going to see a vehicle. Nobody's going to pay attention to a vehicle because his house is here. There's houses here. Who's to say these people don't travel this way to get to Highway 74? They probably do. So nobody's going to question any vehicle, a truck, whatever, coming through here, stopping here and putting her on a kayak and bringing her right here. Look at the short distance from there to there, with the second ping being right here. That second ping. First ping is here. Sure, that makes sense. If she's in a vehicle being transported, she's got that watch on, ping. Because right here is 1281. This property is 1281, people. This is the property that's 1281. See that? This property. So, of course, anything that's coming past here is going to pick that up. And then she's brought here, And she's coming through here. Ping. And then there you are at the slough. Debbie, I've shared this with them, but I only went as far as 1281. I started here with them, and I explained why it would ping here. Okay, and then I brought up the creek to them so they know about the creek. They, I hope, are smart enough, and I think they are. And I think that's why the ATV came into question. So I was never really able to figure out the ATV, but it's very possible the ATV plays a part here. Oh, they watch. Oh, trust and believe they watch. They should put me on the payroll, but I'm just saying. I'm joking. I'm doing this for the Lord, and I'm doing this for Mica, and I'm doing this for every single solitary victim that's out there. I don't want any more people victimized. So then here she is right here, which just breaks my heart. Such a beautiful girl to be treated like that. What other cell numbers ping at the same location at the same time? I have no idea, SOC. I'm just going according to her phone number. I'm just going according to the 655 phone number that she actually, somebody had picked up. I said this earlier, that she mouthed it at the pawn shop when she was giving her phone number to the guy behind the counter. And that's the number that comes up with Robeson County Sheriff Department's investigation. So there you go. Second video today, people. And you know what? We must be getting close. We must be getting close for all of this to be coming up again. Justice must be around the corner. Remember, we're between Purim and Passover, and there's a very, very explosive time for the wicked. You know, and when God cuts him down, it's not going to be pretty. I'm just curious if JP's number was close. You know, okay, that's a great point. Now, of course, that's not going to come up in Robeson's investigation, so we don't know. But I'm almost positive that the feds took 3 of his phones. I think it was 2 or 3 of his phones. And why? Because True Crime Re actually said that. So they have his phones, and they will be able to find out where he was at. I truly believe that he paid people to do this. I don't think he did this. I don't think he had the cojones to do this to her. I don't think he would. I don't think he has it. I think he's a coward. He would probably pay people to do this to her, kidnap and harm her, and then, you know, do this to her. Yeah, he definitely paid people, because that's what he does. He pays people to do his dirty work. So, but this is where the person who said that, you're absolutely right. This explains how 1281 got a ping. That doesn't take Tommy Walters out of the equation. I'm very sorry, but it doesn't. It doesn't take Charles McKinnon out of it either, because his name was Charles and was brought up by Johnny Jacobs. Yeah, during his son's soccer tournament. Yeah, he used his own child. And you know what's funny about that? I'm that girl. That whole alibi has been squashed by that 911 call from his neighbor, Andy. God bless that man. Probably on the day of May 1st when he made that call, he had no idea what he was, really doing. But he blew John Paul's alibi out of the water that day by him and his wife and other neighbors placing John Paul in Myrtle Beach on that morning. So again, we found him in a lie. Now, there have been a few people, flying monkeys, who have tried to prove that John Paul was in Charleston that night and that morning. And they've come up with nothing. And the attempts that they tried to make were really, really stupid. So I heard someone mention Bishop as well on one of the recent videos with JJ, if I'm not mistaken. Bishop what? What Bishop? I don't know who you're talking about. But anyway, there you go. There's the Highway 74. It's a very quick, I think only locals would know about this too. Okay. Because you're looking at satellite is the default. When you open up your phone, you most likely are going to see satellite. Most people don't go, oh, let me go look at the terrain. Who does that? Nobody. I know I don't. Because most of us live in areas that we can actually see the street and we can actually see, the town. We don't have trees covering everything. So really only a local is going to say, well, you know what? That's 74 comes around and there's that Ann Road right there that you can just go and, Randall is a bishop. Oh, I have no idea. Is he a bishop? Randall's involved with this. Absolutely. But again, I think he's on the side of paying people to do it. I don't think he's the strong arm. I think that people were paid to be the strong arm. But anyway, I believe locals are involved because only a local would know about this. When you're coming off of 74 here, okay, you're coming off of this street. This is the side street, Ann Road. So locals are going to know about this. Not people passing by on 74. They're not going to know. They're going to just know about that street because that's off of 74. This is off of this street, whatever that is. And this is Ann Road, right? No, I have to zoom out, guys. And like I said, it's about 7 miles to here. And then here you are near the slough. So, I remember when CJ was doing a live with narc divers, that's Clay, and pulled off to check something and stopped in that same spot. He showed how it was just off the freeway. Okay, I don't recall him doing that, but okay. Yeah, this is a highway right here, a Highway 74. And somebody brought this up. And I haven't even looked at Highway 74 to see what it would take to get from... Oh, I lost myself. Where was I? Where is it? Oh my goodness, I just lost Ann Road. Oh, here it is. Okay. I looked at the address for here. This is for 1 Ann Road. And I wanted to see what the distance, I could do that now, real time from the gas station. So let's just do it from the gas station real quick. So if I do 41, of course, that comes up because I've looked this up 5 million times. And then the location being 1 Ann Road. Okay, that comes up real quick. So that's 46-minute ride. That's 46 minutes. So let's figure that out. 138. Let's say she's killed at, God forbid, 145. Okay, let's do 145. Now we got to do 45 minutes later. So 145, 45 minutes later is going to be 2:30. Guys, we're still within that time frame. 2:30 in the afternoon, they get to this spot. And they bring her 2:30. So 2:35, 2:40, they're here. They load her in. 2:50, she's brought here, placed, shot the gun off twice, threw her purse down, threw her phone down, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Then they give their signal, all done. 2:54, the phone call goes through. See how that fits? See how that fits? It's sick, isn't it? Sick bastards. This doesn't make me happy to find this. This pisses me off, but this is what makes me want them to be, I don't know what I want them to be. If I really said what I felt, it wouldn't be pretty. But it fits. It fits, and it fits in with, which makes me feel good about what we have found, the 1281. The 1281 right here. This is all 1281 Princess Anne Road, which explains the ping. Just because it's pinned here, it could have pinged right here. I don't give a crap if they're monitoring me. I'm covered by the blood of Jesus and angels that will blow them away. Let me tell you something. They come in this direction for me, they'll die in the process. So they should be careful. They should be very careful. But anyway, yeah. And let me say something about that real quick. I'm glad you brought that up, Mary. Remember, guys, when I had said that John Paul had called me? Yeah, 74 would be their getaway quickly out of there. Absolutely, Lauren. Oh, really? So you can leave Myrtle Beach to get back onto 95 off of Highway 74. That makes me sick, Jamie. Makes me absolutely sick. I remember I told you guys that he called me July 4th, right? And it wasn't to wish me happy Independence Day. Now, I didn't know him. I was very, very young, very, very new to this video-wise. Even though the magazine's been out since 2012, I have never done videos where I was talking to people like I do now. Everything was advertisements. What videos do you think I did July 3rd that would have prompted that phone call? No, it doesn't say anything about the lock being there on any of the items that were found SOC. Anyway, the videos that I did on July 3rd was about remote controlling Chris Skinner's wheelchair. 2 of them. I did one that was about 4 minutes, and I did another one that was about 3 minutes long, explaining how it could be done with a game controller, game console. And it's not the console itself, but the remote controls. And showed a Forbes article. A Forbes article that showed that this could be done. Yeah, that was July 3rd. I didn't even realize that until I reposted it about a week ago, and I went, oh my gosh, look at this. So that prompted him to call me and ask me, what have I done wrong in the eyes of God? Well, I'll tell you what you did wrong. If you had anything to do with this, that's what you did wrong. Just because you paid somebody to do it and your hands didn't do it yourself, but for your money and paying them, she'd still be here. So just because you paid them and you weren't there at the moment doesn't make you, and I'm talking to John Paul, doesn't make you innocent. Because if you would have never paid those people, they would have never done it. So this was all for him. And again, I say it's because he did not want the discovery of their divorce to come out. And somebody like Regina Ward would have wiped the floor with him. She would have wiped the floor with him. And he didn't want that. So to avoid that and anybody else's dirty laundry from coming out, she had to be silenced. And this is how I believe they did it. So there you go. 1:38, we see her leaving the gas station. We see that white Mercedes-Benz show up at the gas station. She just went in to get a drink, came out, was ready to leave. And as that white Mercedes was going back into the vicinity of the AME church, she was about to leave. They both stop as if they're talking. And then the Mercedes-Benz leaves. She turned around to get gas. She gets the gas and then she leaves. I don't recall which direction she went in, but it doesn't matter because from either direction, it's 2 miles to this Bethlehem AME church, which is run by, pastored by Charles Randall's nephew, something Randall, I forgot his first name. And if in fact this is where we believe that she had lost her life, and she's transported to this Highway 74 meeting with, what is this road? What exactly is the actual main road here? Does anybody know? What is that? I can't. 130. So 130, whatever 130 is. They get off this road 130 and they turn into Ann Road, knowing it's there, had been told it was there, and then take her to this area, which leads us about a 45-minute ride, 45 to 50 minutes we'll give them. And then another 10 minutes, and that's within the time frame before the 254 phone call. The Mercedes-Benz, the VIN came back gray. But I have some people looking into the fact that this car was in a major accident back in 21 and was totaled and then was put back on the road. I've got some people from some garages saying that it's possible that the VIN comes back as a gray Mercedes, but not necessarily the actual Mercedes. So we're trying to find out if the actual Mercedes that got into that accident was white. It says, I'm not sure, but there's a big sign out. It says Lumber River State Park along 74. I'm sure it does. Yeah. I thought I saw a white Mercedes in the video where JLR interviewed Charles Randall. Okay, he has a Mercedes that I think is an SUV. But we're talking about it's a 4-door. Somebody had told me it was a C-Class between the years of 2006, 2012 model. That's the one in front of the gas station. So we got to see if that's the same as who hit Johnny. I'll tell you why. If that thing comes back white, dude, I'm telling you, I will be on this live lickety split. But I do believe that this explains very well. We've always been coming, or at least I've always been coming from this angle, going up this way and going, wow, how the hell did and I couldn't figure it out. But this, and whoever you are, if you're not in the chat and you hear me later, God bless you. This makes so much sense, fits the narrative of the 1281 being pinged, totally fits the access to the creek, totally fits the ping that's right here where the circle is, and the second ping, and then her being found here. So Mica had a white Honda, I think it was an Accord. Yeah. No, I'm talking about the white. Yeah, it was a white Honda. It is a very secluded access point, indeed, and open to only the locals. Only the locals would know about that street because obviously they use it. Because if you look, it comes out here. There's a house here and there's a house here. And then here is where the ranger station is. So without having, it would be easy to be seen here. And I've been saying the whole time, oh, it all happened here. The exchange all happened at Tommy Walter's house. Well, you know what? I take that back. Maybe the exchange happened here. Makes more sense. Just saying. And the time, boy, does that fit. Boy, does that fit. So there you go. Justice for Mica. I think we are at the precipice, guys. I think we're ready. I'll tell you what, and this is spiritual, prophetic, and just in I say godly insight and my own perception of things. I feel like things are going to start really moving tomorrow. April 2nd. April 2nd is going to be very pivotal. And between now and the 20th of April, I think it's going to get really crazy. Crazy in a good way for us, crazy in a bad way for the wicked. So, and I'm sorry to say, but anybody that did this to her, you're part of the wicked. So, there you go. A white one in the JLR interview. I don't know, Sharon, if it was a white four-door. We would have all picked up on that. But you know what? If you see a four-door white Mercedes in any of JLR's, please send. Yes, Tommy and Charles McKinnon are Facebook friends, and Charles and McKinnon and Johnny Jacobs are friends as well. So they're all friends with each other, and I really believe that there's some ties in there. We'll find it out. So, going to be at Myrtle Beach on 25 for 10 days. Hope to see him get arrested. Well, Debbie, make sure you have plenty of juice on your phone because I want you to record it. Yeah, too many coincidences. Absolutely. Again, I believe they were very sloppy. I don't believe that they were careful in what they were doing, because they did not expect for this to go beyond 2 weeks. He did, and Johnny knew too much. I believe Johnny had already talked to the feds. He said to Robbie Harvey, no, I wasn't questioned. Of course he's going to say that. The guy was being threatened. He was probably scared out of his mind. And that was one of the things that was said on his sister's chat, which is where I found out he was being threatened. The person who said it said he was scared. So he was scared for months before he died, this poor guy. I say this poor guy because I think he was pulled into something that he did not expect to be pulled into. Okay? And he shouldn't be the only one to pay. So that's just my take on it. But anyway, thank you for putting up with me another hour. This is what I sound like after coffee. Calmer, more clear-headed. Again, I don't know where Tom Winslow or Fairbluff would fit into this narrative, but I don't see it. I just don't see it. So I'm sorry if I don't see it, but I just don't. That doesn't mean that Tom Winslow's property doesn't play a part. I just don't see it, because I'm incorporating the livor mortis. And so, yeah, and that's the 1,300. Yeah, okay, so that's the 1,300 that he says he burnt. I think he looked at it as blood money. He wanted no part of it. See, he would tell little bits of truth with the change in his stories. You know what I mean? So I think he really struggled. He really struggled with what he was part of. If in fact in 2 weeks this would have blown over, maybe he would have been able to live with it. But I think he got close to, I think he liked Veronica. You could tell how they talked to each other. He was very friendly. I do believe that he believed in God and whatnot. So, and I'm sorry if my connection's going in and out, guys. Please forgive me. Let me get rid of let me shut the Wi-Fi off of my phone. Oh, it is off. So I just believe he struggled with guilt. And this was part of it. And so maybe he felt like if he burned the money, he would be good with God or be good in the eyes of God. I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking, but I pray that God was merciful with him, if in fact he did leave us. And that because of that mercy and grace, that God is really more focused on taking the people down that really did do this to her. The one who orchestrated it, the one who supported it to happen, the ones who planned it, and the ones who executed it. All of them. And then in the aftermath, the ones who supported him as well. Yeah, it was an SUV, hon. It was a Mercedes SUV. So I know what you're talking about. So anyway, there you go, guys. There's my take on, and there's me going beyond the 1281. Whoopsie. The 1281, which is right here, Princess Anne Road. And here's the property once again, just a recap. Here's where they probably, loaded her onto a kayak. That's why kayak, the word kayak comes up a lot. And looking at this waterway, the little bit that I was able to look at, because there's a lot of tree coverage, it's way too small for a motorboat. Way too small. So really only a kayak would do the job. And I do see how very easily they could have come off 74 and took this back way and did this without anybody seeing it in the park, on the road, or anything like that. So goes all the way down and turns into God's Road and turns back into Princeton. Yep, God's Road. Isn't that amazing? God's Road. Yeah, absolutely amazing. They thought that they could challenge God, and now he's going to answer that challenge. So anyway, I pray in the name of Jesus Christ that we see, let me get rid of this, guys. At least I'll put it here. I pray in the name of Jesus Christ that we see justice for Chris, for Mica, for all the victims. And I pray in Jesus' name it happens now. So in this hour that we see it and we see all of them go down. Yeah, someone in that area, absolutely, where it might be where Tommy Walters fits in. So we'll see. We'll see who it was, but somebody knew. Somebody helped. There's a lot of people. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me another hour. And anything new comes up, I'll come back. I do plan on going through, I did plan on, and I do plan on coming back and talking about the character of God. We do need to talk about that. That is important. So we will talk about that. And because I keep saying to you, seek ye first the kingdom of God. And if some of you are sitting there going, okay, Ann, how do I do that? Well, it's getting to know his character. So that's where we're going to go into it. But not today, because I've already done 3 hours on lives and I need to go lay down. But thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you being here. And let's just pray that this happens quickly. So until I see you guys again, please stay safe and God bless.